Okay, practice number 6, spring ball. We're in pads, just about every day except the 3 days we're not supposed to be. But a lot of focus on making sure that we build on, that we have reset. We're also building on the momentum that we acquired last year. But a lot of emphasis on the coaches developing as much as the players, and putting, I would say, the onus on the coaches to develop players, and not just in the terms of strength and conditioning and getting bigger, stronger, and learning how to play football, but also from a mentality, a resilience standpoint, an emotional standpoint, right? Making sure guys finish plays and understanding why, making sure we understand the importance of body language and face markers throughout the course of a game, throughout adversity, but it's got to be a big part about what we do, and our players have to learn how to push and be more durable in times where they're going to get tested. So we're doing that. And again, game day is game day for the players, but practice is game day for the coaches. And we have to continue pushing as coaches to conduct elite practice sessions, to get better at situational football technique and fundamentals. So that being said, questions, please.
I like to try to explain to people about the success you've had in the portal. I know last year when I asked you this, you mentioned Dennis Smith. There are a lot of factors. How much tape, Mario, do you watch of each portal pickup? Do you have a rule in your mind where I want to watch a cut up of a couple of hours? What's your?
We watch game tape. I watch game tape. There's we do have point of attack tapes to get a feel for what the ceiling is, and if the ceiling is high enough, then you jump right into game tape. And you want to watch them play against the best competition. You want to watch the good and the bad, right? Not everybody's perfect. But we burn our eyes on just tons and tons of tape. We want to see a guy play. And also, Schematica, they asked him to do something that he's capable of doing. Is his skill set something more suitable for what we do? I look at a guy like Kiona. He's 6'5", 275, 280 pounds, and really explosive. He fits great in what we do. We're not a two-gap in defense. And again, but they all have been at places, and they've all learned some really good stuff where they've been, and now we got a chance to take all that stuff and apply it here. But yeah, and to answer your question, that's why our eyes are just red and big bags and all that other stuff. We burn our eyes on a lot of film.
And one last quick thing on that, you mentioned Keona Davis, the other guy at that position. What appealed to you skill-wise about Carter?
Yeah, Jarquez, we knew him in high school really, really well, recruited him to the end. We're a finalist in his recruitment, but nowadays in recruiting, second place is worth something, because you could get him a year or 2, 3 years later, and he fits our defense extremely well. He's off to a great start. Honestly, I can say, not going to throw much praise around the players today, but he's a guy that he is a willing, tough, hard-working, physical guy, really smart, plays with a flat back, great pad level, great leverage, strong hands. Weight room guy as well. He's going to be a great player. He really is. So we're thrilled to have him here, and the level of competition, and let's call it what it is. The only way to elevate our standards and the level of play is to continue introducing more and more competition and elevating standards and holding ourselves accountable to them. So,
Mario, how have you seen Josh Moore kind of come along in his development? Obviously, second spring. How has he kind of grown and developed?
Yeah, we're counting on him. He was banged up early in spring, so there's not much to talk about right now. Had a couple of catches today where he looked really good, and we've always felt, all since the day we recruited him, that he was going to be and is going to be a big-time player here. Spring we'll get rolling more and more with him in the coming days, but it was nicked up, nothing too serious. But big plans for him. He enjoys getting coached hard and getting pushed. Not really affected by that. Now, you know what? He's not a freshman anymore. So we need maturity, physicality, durability, all that good stuff, and use all 6'4", 6'5" of that body and go up and make plays and be just as physical in the running game. I don't think he got enough credit for his role in the way he blocked down the stretch in the playoffs.
Mario, with your quarterbacks, obviously all eyes are going to be on Darian from the outside, but with Luke and with Judge, just where did you see growth from them last year? And with Darian, with Darian Coleman, your initial impression on him, and the message to them when you bring another veteran in, just what they're going to go through with their roles and how they handle another veteran coming in and having sort of where they go with that.
Yeah, that's a talented room, and if in a perfect world, you like to keep your program always growing from within, right, with the high school ranks, but it's up to them for us, it's up to us and them together to develop to a point where we have confidence to go and play winning football. They're off to a great start. Judd with another year in the system. Same thing with Luke. You can tell it's just it's just showing up, right? They're quicker on their reads. The ball's out. It's more accurate. They anticipate better. They understand protections better. And Darion's a quick study. I mean, and you've seen the way he throws the ball now. He's uber talented. So that competition in itself has been extremely high. We're going to keep ramping it up there. So a lot of confidence in that room. And again, we see nothing but continued development, and the onus again on the coaches to make sure we get that out of our players.
You've worked with him now for 6 practices, but Coach Vitti, what's he brought to the staff? Just personality-wise, he's an interesting guy too.
Oh yeah, he's exactly what we thought. Relentless, intense, energy. I mean, he's an animal. In a good way. High-level teacher, tremendous aptitude, capacity, progression teacher. Really detailed, hard worker, early mornings, late nights, super high care factor, and his history. I mean, he's done things in life that a lot of us can never fathom. I can't. It's certainly always appreciate him for his service. So he's been very impactful. Bless you, in the short time that he's been here.
And Coach Upshaw too. What type of impression is he made?
Yeah, I've known him for a while, but certainly have not stayed as much in contact over the years. He's exactly what the guys at the Broncos said that he was and is. Again, another really high-level teacher with high aptitude, right, and high capacity. Where his experience at all the different positions, starting at the quarterback position, lets him have a tremendous grasp of what we're doing offensively and understands the other side of the ball. And when you're in that league, there's no recruiting. You just spend hours and hours studying stuff. So he's brought him and Coach Vitti have brought some really good ideas to the table, and that's really important for our staff. And we always talk about player development. Important for our staff to keep developing as well, and bringing in new people with fresh ideas, really applicable ideas, is paramount to the continued growth of our program.
With Mark Fletcher, just obviously a lot of veterans from your offense last year gone. Just how much are you leaning on him maybe early in spring to be one of those veteran voices? And how much have you seen him grow in that role since he got here 3 years ago?
He's always been on that steady growth incline. I mean, he came in with some leadership qualities already, was already leading the freshman class, and by the end of the year, he had that injury postseason his freshman year. But up to that point, he was doing a great job just rounding up the guys and helping set a standard. So he's never stopped. He's never stopped growing. We all know that during the postseason last year, he took it to a different level, and it just hasn't stopped. And he's limited now in the spring because of our choice. He had so many carries last year. We're making sure that body is healed up, and that we're also programming him from a strength and conditioning standpoint to keep getting bigger, stronger, faster, more flexible, injury-free. But he is getting a lot of reps as well, that the reps that he needs to stay sharp and also be present and visible. But no, he's exactly what you want. There's no one out there that you would ever trade for Mark Fletcher.
A few more questions for Coach.
Obviously, there's a lot of eyes on Jackson, but what about Ben Congdon?
Congdon? Ben, yep.
Yeah.
Big Ben. What about him?
Yeah, just how does he
doing great.
Yeah.
Massive individual, tough, 4 a.m., up in the mornings, working on the farm back home. I mean, he's the right kind of guy. He's exactly what you look for in a competitor, in a tough guy, in a football player, and a teammate, and your very own son. I mean, he's one of those guys. Early indications are that guy's going to be a great football player, and you know how we go here. We go hard, and we go hard for a purpose to get guys ready. And it's been baptism of fire for him. We've thrown him in there and with the ones and with the twos at times, and he's responded really well. Obviously, a long ways to go, but early indications are he's going to be a factor this year.
Coach, how's Hayden Lowe doing?
Hayden Lowe, he's handling some personal stuff. He's doing okay.
Skills with Vaughn and Jacob, you pounced on those two receivers pretty quickly. What stood out to you about each of them? How they looked?
Well, I mean, you're looking at two guys, again, with a lot of experience at a high level and lots of production, both of them. When you have that kind of experience, you've seen just about every defense imaginable in college football, right? Press man, off man, zone, bluff coverages or whatnot. I think blocking, the way we block is a little bit of a new thing, probably for any wide receiver coming over this way, but you see guys that are working hard and doing their best to somehow contribute and earn a spot. And we do have some good receivers. No one is perfect there, and that competition is wide open. But we envision playing a lot of guys that we have a lot of capable guys. I would like to see the outside wide receivers win more. You know, I thought our corners did a really good job getting after them and being more physical. When that ball's in the air, you got to find a way to come down with it. Credit to our DBs as well; they're doing a good job. But it's been good. But there's been areas where we have to improve, and we're going to improve.
I want to ask you
Last question.
a big picture recruiting question because you got a big recruiting weekend coming up here. A lot of talent coming in. Do you feel like after last year's run that your program is even more attractive now around the country than it has been previous years? And if that is the case, the process of, for lack of a better term, needing to be more picky with like, okay, these are the guys that fit what we do, regardless of recruiting rankings and all that
Sure.
kind of stuff.
You know, it's a great question. I think we've always been picky. We just now have a bigger pool to be picky from. So, yeah, success is dangerous if you don't handle it the right way. And I'll be the first to say that, look at Miami historically. There was 20 plus years ago where things seemed like it's going to be endless winning here. But a couple classes that don't pan out, and in athletics, a blink of an eye, 10, 20 years, and you don't look the same. And so, yeah, every single identification is absolutely critical. Like having coaches that can project, having people that are really committed to the recruiting part's easy. That's but the identification, the digging deep and finding out what really is underneath, right, the hood. What are you getting, and does it really fit? Because let's call it what it is. This is a fast-moving industry, and you have coaches that are changing jobs year after year, and you've got to be on guard against that. We talk about it all the time. We don't want a position coach trying to have 4 or 5 4-star guys by their name just to say they're the recruiter of the year, and when they know they really aren't that as players and as people. So, yeah, we're taking deep dives, and you see what we do. We bring them out here to practice. If they could handle that part and that up close and personal and see what we do and how hard we work, and then shadow these guys and go to class and know that we have class checkers there and their parents see that, and we're going to demand that they get there on time, which is early, and then come back for study hall, and we're just regimented. Maybe you're going to attract the right kind of people that fit us, and it might discourage maybe someone that's not into that, but I don't judge. To each his own. There's some great ones that haven't come here. We just want to attract a certain caliber. Does that make sense? I told you it was going to be a boring answer, but you asked a question, man. Anything else? Anybody? One more? Nothing?
I was just going to ask, a lot of the current players were out at Pro Day and vice versa. Today
Right.
we saw CJ Daniels with the fame.
Oh,
What
yeah.
do you say about the culture you guys have been instilling?
I think they're all trying to come back for one more year, honestly. I think they're willing to forego. I talked to Mesidor and Bain today. Thought I had him, but they didn't bite. CJ's out of eligibility, so is Keelan, so that didn't go as well. I'll ask compliance for a waiver. That's not very little chance. What does it say? You know what it says? It says it validates one of the most important things for me as not only a member of this organization, but as a former player, is that one of the huge reasons why I'm back is because I love my experience here. And for them on their free time to be hanging around as much as they do is a very strong indication that they truly valued and enjoyed their time here, and that they value being a Miami Hurricane. And so they want to still impart some of their knowledge on the younger guys and be around, And I promise you that some of those guys will end up coaching here one day, and that would make us really proud.